Okay, here's a question about income tax, which is slightly more complicated than VAT. Let's read the question through and see what facts we can write down that are given here. Last year, Rupinder earned £26,500. She does not have to pay income tax on 9,500 of these earnings of 26,500. She has to pay income tax at 20% on all her earnings above 9,500. Work out how much income tax Rupinder has to pay. Okay, well, what facts have we got here? Last year, Rupinder earned 26,500. So her total earnings were in pounds 26,500. She does not have to pay income tax on £9,500 of these earnings. That's pretty common. The government allows you to earn a certain amount for free before they start tax you. So tax-free, her allowance is 9,500. And she only has to pay the income tax on what's left over and above that 9,500. And the standard income tax rate for her is 20% on what earnings are above the tax-free allowance. So her tax rate, if you like, is 20%. So what's our tactic going to be? Stage 1 is to find out what's left out of this 26,500 that she has to pay tax on after allowing for this tax-free allowance. In other words, if we take £9,500 away from 26,500, we'll see how much is left that she does have to pay tax on. The next stage is to work out what 20% of that remaining amount is, and that will be the amount she has to pay in income tax. Okay, let's go ahead and start working that out. Right, I'm going to draw a bar here, a bit like in a bar chart I suppose, to represent her total earnings, and that represents her total earnings. Can you see the bottom of that? You can't quite see it. Can you let me move it up a bit? There we go. So we'll say it starts at 0 there, and her total earnings are 26,500, and then somewhere there's 9,500. Well, that's probably about here to scale, isn't it? 9,500. So everything between 0 and £9,500, she's allowed to keep all of that, no tax at all. And of the remainder above £9,500, she loses 20% of that in tax. So it's like you could say that's the amount that she has to pay in tax, which represents 20% of that total amount. So let's find out how much there is in all in this area here that she's getting taxed on. Well, if we take 26,500 and we take away from it 9,500, that'll be how much is in this total area that she pays tax on. So 0.5 minus 5 is 0. 26 minus 9 is 17. So £17,000 is this area here that she has to pay tax on. Okay, and of that £17,000, she has to pay 20% of that to the taxman. So what is 20% of £17,000? Well, I suppose we could, because it's a nice easy multiple of 10, we could say 10% of 17,000 would be a tenth of it. So just move the decimal place 1 and it would be £1,700. So 20% would be that, again, double it, or add another 10% on. And let's move the paper up so you can see. So if we add 10% and 10%, we get 20%. And if we add two lots of £1,700, we get 2 7s are 14, carry 1, 2 1s are 2 and 1's 3. We get 3,400. So in other words, the total tax that she pays is 20% of £17,000, which we've just worked out is £3,400. And that's the answer.